And people want to know these questions that they write in. Okay, this is for Governor Sununu. What do you make of Biden's decision to make South Carolina the first Democratic primary? Say, right, now you're governor of New Hampshire. That was always, and still is, the Republican first.
No, and the Democrat. I'm sorry, Joe, we're going first. I don't care what the Democrat Party doesn't dictate who goes first. The state of New Hampshire does.
No, but they're not saying that. The Democrat changed theirs.
No, they didn't.
They did.
So the Democrats tried, but New Hampshire's Democrat primary will still go first. Because, again, our law says we're going to go first. And this is Biden's real problem, because he's left a huge opening for someone to come into New Hampshire, campaign there strong with some name ID, and charge through, essentially. By the way, South Carolina doesn't have a first-in-the-nation primary. They dictate. Trump didn't have one in 20. They just said Trump's the winner. So Biden has effectively moved the first in the nation, tried to move it from New Hampshire to a state that won't even hold it. They'll just say, you're the incumbent, you're the winner. So it's actually a horrible miscalculation on his part. Okay. But I'm sorry, Joe, we're going first.
Well, okay, now.
In a fiery exchange that captivated the audience on Real Time with Bill Maher, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu took a bold stand, passionately defending his state's long-standing role as the first primary in the nation. Rejecting President Biden's push to elevate South Carolina, Sununu framed the move as a misguided overreach. He argued that New Hampshire's grassroots-driven process and exceptional voter participation embody the true spirit of democracy. Sununu firmly asserted that it is state law, not federal preference, that determines New Hampshire's primary status, calling the administration's attempt to override it a horrible miscalculation. With unwavering conviction, he declared that the Granite State would not surrender its place at the forefront of American democracy. For Sununu, the fight is not just about tradition, about preserving the voice of the people in the electoral process.
You announced on our show tonight that you're running for president.
I know, well, again, it's about the indictment. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
In essence, he did. It didn't, not in so many words, but
I did?
What?
My wife is texting me as we speak.
Okay.
Say it ain't so.
But New Hampshire, that's a wash for you because you're from New Hampshire. So that primary is meaningless for you because if you don't win it, then, oh my God, you can't even win your home state. And if you do win it, it means nothing.
No, if you win, it won't. If I were to win New Hampshire, it would be you didn't win by enough. And if you lose it, you're totally toast. It's actually a disadvantage.
Right.
Sununu's passionate defense of New Hampshire's primary status comes in direct response to President Biden's decision to elevate South Carolina as the first Democratic primary state, a move Sununu calls both misguided and damaging to the democratic process. He argues that New Hampshire's consistently high voter turnout and deep-rooted tradition of civic engagement make it the ideal starting point for the primary season, citing state law, which mandates that New Hampshire hold the nation's first primary. Sununu made it clear the state will uphold that law, regardless of the Democratic Party's decisions. He also criticized what he sees as fundamental flaws in Biden's strategy, particularly the lower voter participation rates in South Carolina's primary. To Sununu, the administration's decision represents a concession to political convenience over democratic principle. Framing the issue as more than just state pride, Sununu cast it as a broader battle over fairness and representation in the electoral process. He emphasized that grassroots democracy, not top-down mandates, should guide the nation's political framework. His arguments resonate with voters who view New Hampshire's primary not only as tradition, but as a vital expression of their voice in shaping national leadership.
You, Lieutenant Governor Sears, what's a realistic way to approach immigration reform?
Heavens, how about doing it the right way and doing it the legal way? My dad had to wait in line, wait his turn, sign all kinds of documents, prove who he was. You got to know who's coming into the country. We are a nation of laws. And if he had to do it, everybody's got to do it. That's the law. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, don't apologize. That's the right answer. You nailed it.
Oh, no, I'm not apologizing.
Okay. Governor Sununu, should we be doing more to secure our northern border to prevent the trafficking of drugs?
And Canadians.
What?
And Canadians. They're very dangerous.
So northern border crossings up 800%.
800%?
Hundreds of thousands in just the last quarter from Canada. Yeah, so we're doing kind of our part. A lot of the states are open. It's a very unprotected border, but it's nothing like the southern border, of course. But yeah, you have to protect the northern border as well. Canada has agreements with about 5 different countries. You don't even need visas. I think Honduras, El Salvador, they fly to Canada and then they walk across. We have them walking across through the woods in New Hampshire.
Now,
our longest border is with Canada.
CS underscores the urgent need for strengthened law enforcement along both the northern and southern borders. citing alarming spikes in drug trafficking and unauthorized crossings. She draws particular attention to rising activity at the northern border, where illegal entries have surged largely, she argues, due to Canada's visa agreements with countries like Honduras and El Salvador. CS emphasizes that comprehensive border security is essential not only to uphold the rule of law but also to shield communities from the threats posed by drug cartels and human trafficking networks. Her message aligns with a growing public demand for fairness and accountability in the immigration system, one that honors the aspirations of immigrants while respecting the rights of American citizens, by framing the issue through a personal lens and tying it to broader national security concerns. CS makes a compelling case for lawful entry as a fundamental pillar of American sovereignty and public safety.
Another critique of your state as a primary state is that it's not diverse, so it doesn't really look
diverse.
Look like America.
We have the highest voter turnout in the country. South Carolina's diversity, look, South Carolina has about 15% voter turnout. What's the point of diversity if you don't let anybody vote, if nobody comes out to participate? We have rich, we have poor, we have black, we have white, it doesn't matter. Everyone in New Hampshire participates in the process.
Well, I mean,
I'll put my diversity against South Carolina's any day when you actually look at who's actually voting and participating.
The only black you have there is a bear. It's a very white state. No.
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but I'm just saying, that's.
But isn't it about who participates? Isn't it about actually having a primary? Like I said, the Democrats likely aren't even going to hold the primary in South Carolina. So what's the point of diversity if you don't let people participate? I mean, they say that we subvert the vote by asking people for an ID. They subvert the vote by not even letting them show up. I mean, that's the reality you're facing here. So that's why we're the best at the First in the Nation primary. The high voter participation, the voter turnout, local control. And here's the most important part.
I can't help you, Bill.
I'm
not following this argument, but go ahead.
I'm from Massachusetts, and we used to refer to New Hampshire as Kentucky and New England. So that's...
Really? That's not nice.
Coming from Massachusetts, right? Coming from Massachusetts, give me a break. Why is New Hampshire the fastest growing state in the Northeast?
That's
Come on.
not fair.
Come on.
I didn't say I agreed with it. It's just, that was what we used to say.
Governor Chris Sununu addresses criticisms about New Hampshire's perceived lack of diversity. By redirecting the conversation to what he views as the true measure of democratic health, voter turnout, and civic participation, Sununu passionately defends his state, arguing that New Hampshire's grassroots-driven electoral process sets the national standard, consistently delivering the highest voter turnout in the country. He emphasizes that New Hampshire's political engagement transcends racial and socioeconomic boundaries, highlighting a deep, statewide commitment to democratic values. In contrast, Sununu points to South Carolina, the state elevated in President Biden's revised primary calendar, as an example of lower voter engagement. Despite its greater racial diversity, he argues that diversity without meaningful participation misses the core purpose of democracy. For Sununu, inclusivity is measured not by demographics alone, but by a state's ability to foster active, informed, and engaged citizens. By reframing the debate, he contends that New Hampshire should be celebrated as a model of civic responsibility, challenging the idea that demographic diversity alone defines electoral legitimacy. His message is a call to prioritize participation and engagement as the true cornerstones of a thriving democracy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more thought-provoking discussions and in-depth analysis, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you quality content. See you in the next video.